Welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Tuesday, October 16. So glad you can join us. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. It's simply not true. The government rubbishes claims that pending job cuts in the public sector unfairly target women. Last evening, General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Roslyn Smith, expressed concern that women would feel the brunt of the restructuring exercise following a meeting at the union's Dalkeith headquarters. But this morning, the government's senior economic advisor, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, put the issue to rest as he updated reporters on the Barbados Economic Recovery Plan at a news conference hosted at the Central Bank.
It's not about numbers. You want to say, oh, okay, you need another 100, you need another 100, so let me cut. No. Is this institution set up to do what it's supposed to do and deliver the service it's supposed to deliver as efficient as it can be? If the answer is yes, then it stops. But if the answer is not yes, because remember, we're also going to be digitizing the entire public sector. And some of the same persons who go off will come back to fill that role. So in that context, okay, again, I want you to focus on the overall objective. It's to modernize the public sector, streamline, because it has grown so big and so bloated and inefficient.
Dr. Greenidge stressed that the job cuts were not a numbers game. He said if that was the case, government would have just simply sent home workers without a proper plan.
If you look at the overall central amount, the 800, I'm sure that most are meals, because MTW is the largest component. Then you got like post office and 120 there. If you look at the only category of stenographers, typists, it will happen to be females. But the answer you could clearly see will be that's the nature of the position. But there's clearly be any specific policy to look for gender.
Meanwhile, the National Organization of Women says there's no evidence that women are being targeted in government's retrenchment exercise. Public Relations Officer of the organization, Marsha Hines Lane, told Barbados Today women outnumber men in the civil service, so it is therefore unnatural that more women will be affected by the job losses. She, however, urged government to implement measures to stave off fallout.
What we can say is that we don't want to see women fall through the cracks. But if the government has said that they're going to retrain women, and that in cases where they need services that these women used to provide, typing or whatever, that they get first call in a new procurement structure and that kind of thing, then the National Organization of Women is I think, duty bound because of where our country is at this moment, to allow the government the laterality to put the plan in place as they have articulated it to us, and to help them to streamline it if it needs that, but not to pretend that we don't know that structural adjustment and austerity affect women disproportionately. We would have indicated that all the taxes that went on in the last 4 or 5 years would have affected women disproportionately. So the taxes affecting women, you know, the government has to look for another way then to rationalize government spending, right? So if the taxes are a problem and they have to look at cutting expenditure by sending home people, we can also run up and say that is a problem, because we do realize that the country is in a dire strait and that something has to be done.
In other news, this Tuesday, police are continuing investigations to positively identify the badly decomposed body found on a well along the Cummins section of the ABC Highway near Hines Hill, St. Michael yesterday. But indications are it may be the remains of an elderly man who went missing last month. Lawmen said in a statement today that the body appears to be that of a male that was clad in a t-shirt and boxers. A national registration card found in the boxers bears the name Timothy Leroy Daniel, aged 70. According to police records, Timothy Leroy Daniel of Suttle Street, St. Michael, was reported missing since September 25th. Government is moving to implement new laws to crack down on the proceeds of criminal activity. At the start of a mutual legal assistance workshop at the Courtyard Marriott this morning, Permanent Secretary Yvette Goddard, who delivered the feature address on behalf of Attorney General Dale Marshall, warned that such criminal activity could damage the stability and reputation of countries. She stressed that the introduction of laws and protocols to curb these illegal practices would therefore critical.
These developments have compelled Barbados to critically review its current legislative framework. The Cabinet of Barbados recently agreed to revisit its legislation relating to persons who benefit from criminal conduct. The proceeds and instrumentalities of crime bill is currently under study, and it speaks inter alia, or is related inter alia, to confiscation of terrorist assets, asset sharing abilities, that asset sharing abilities should be established between countries through formalized agreements. There should be timely collaboration between local and overseas enforcement agencies, financial intelligence units, and prosecution agencies. The Royal Barbados Police Force should be the agency to maintain adequate statistics and to make decisions with respect to cases worthy of pursuit for forfeiture. The creation of a specific asset recovery division falling under the Attorney General's office, and the creation of a dedicated confiscated assets fund established in accordance with the provisions of Part 5 of the Transnational Organized Crime Prevention and Control Act. Additionally, at the domestic level, my government will be shortly considering bolstering the existing legislative efforts by introducing civil forfeiture legislation and strengthening criminal confiscation regimes against those persons who have been reasonably suspected of having gained these assets through illegal activity.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news in Jamaica, vendors at the Falmouth Market in Trelawney are hopping mad at the new fees being charged by authorities to ply their trade. More in this report from Television Jamaica.
Too much for too little. The complaint from vendors in the Falmouth Market in Trelawney, who say they have to pay an $8,000 deposit to use the facility but have little space to sell their wares.
$8,000 for a month. $8,000 for pay for a month for market pay. $2,000 a week. 3 days a week me can sell. It ain't too dear, man.
No, that me send Ghana, China, go and buy my container load. Me have 4 kids and a grandbaby for look after my old people. Look at this. This coming like a rubbish. And them here is very dear.
So how much money they charging right here?
$3,000. And then I borrow this stall, and I borrow that stall and that stall. I have to pay $9,000. I don't pay it. Then I go take up my stuff them and carry go up at it. Up at the office.
A vendor who makes a trek from Kingston to sell on Wednesdays is questioning the rationale.
I have to be selling out of barrel. My goods pack up like a junkyard. I don't used to this. And the bathroom, I have to pay $100 each time I go there to use it. I have 6 barrels now. When December comes, I'll be having 10. I need a 15 by 15 because that's what I register for. This is stupidness. My stall downtown is bigger than this. And I pay $500 on a Monday, a Thursday, and a Saturday. For the week, I pay $1,500 for my stall fee. And my stall is bigger than this down there.
And on the international scene, British Prime Minister Theresa May will face EU leaders tomorrow at a critical summit. Ahead of the talks, European Council President Donald Tusk warned of an increased risk that Britain will crash out of the bloc without an agreement. The European Union wants the UK to agree to an indefinite backstop or fallback position that would ensure an open border between Northern Ireland, which will be outside the EU, and the Republic of Ireland, which will remain an EU member state. Sources say negotiators have been very close to a draft agreement, but that it was killed in London by May, who wants any backstop to be time-limited. Today, Tusk described the Irish border question as a seemingly unsolvable problem that could only be resolved with bold actions. And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.